hope you are enjoying the dessert and coffee. It's time to start the program. It's my great pleasure to introduce the speakers. First thing I'll mention is that this nice program book that Kristen prepared, please remember to take it with you. So this has the biography of Professor Robert Pehlke and the biography of our distinguished speaker, Professor Pehlke. So I'm not going to read all this, but you can go back and refer to it that Professor Pehlke got his PhD back in the mid-1950s, and he became a professor at University of Michigan in 1960, and he retired in 2003. So he was on the faculty for 43 years, and he's still, he published his most recent book last year, and I'm told he's working on another book now. And so without taking any more time, I would like to introduce his son, Dave Pehlke, who's going to make some remarks on behalf of his dad and his family.
I was told that I only had an hour, so I'll try to keep it brief. So, this is a wonderful time for my father, certainly very meaningful, and it's a wonderful time for the family as well. It means so much to him, and by association, of course, it means so much to us. So I'm the youngest of three, and so I'm just going to convey a few introductory remarks, and my dad actually wrote some comments that just to lay the context for the lectureship and how he feels about it, and his hopes for how it might benefit the department and everyone that would attend. But I really want to thank Ahmed in particular for all his support, and Kristen and all their efforts. Doug Dubin has been so involved in getting things set up, and everyone that's been helping. And of course, Professor Pehlke, who I just became familiar with more recently and reached out to, wrote a wonderful note to my dad, and they rekindled some association after some time, and of course have known each other for quite a while. So I think, as you may know, my father's health has been failing for some time, and he's now in hospice, late-stage cancers, no longer being treated. He's made decisions about quality of life. So he's in a skilled nursing care facility in Bluefield Hills, and he's suffering limited mobility, so he's not able to get around. So that's the reason he's not here tonight. It's a huge regret, and so he's, he definitely regrets not being here this evening. But he's sharp as ever. Like Ahmed mentioned, he's still working on his. It's kind of a family memoir. So the first was sort of a career summary and memoir, and now he's writing a more personal kind of family story. And it's almost done. And so it's close to finished. And so I was just with him this morning. His spirits are really high, and he still has his sense of humor, and he's in surprising good health. I saw him in mid-August, and I didn't think I'd get the chance to see him again. So he continues to outlive everyone's expectations, and it's a blessing. So it's really good. So I think really, what I want to convey is just that, throughout all the time of planning this, and especially last year's kickoff lecture and this year's event as well, that it's been very symbolic, I think, to him of an incredible commitment, dedication to this great department and the university overall, and really his desire to continue contributing. So he's gotten so much from the department. I think this may be a common story for a lot of faculty members, where you share an incredible knowledge and research contributions, and over the course of a long career have wonderful collaborations with so many esteemed, brilliant people. And you get so much back from the work and the challenge and the giving and the efforts. And so certainly it's been very important to him, and this is kind of an extension of his feelings about this family that is MSE, and his involvement with it over such a long period of time, how he feels about everyone. So I'm just going to read some remarks, and you'll have to listen and hear his voice maybe. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for coming this evening. I've chosen this honorary lecture for the department for several reasons. As a student and longtime faculty member with the wonderful support I enjoyed throughout, I wanted to give back to the University of Michigan. First of all, a lecture series on materials processing is a very suitable subject. A series of lectures given by world experts can be of great value to the department. Secondly, the faculty and students have the opportunity to meet and interact with the leaders in the field. And these leaders become knowledgeable about us and our programs. We might recruit some of them, and there's an opportunity open to interact with the leading program in the processing area. And thirdly, our department can generate interest in the subject, curriculum, and research activities for incoming undergraduate and graduate students as well. I would also wish to take advantage to offer some remarks, particularly to those younger faculty members who are approaching the possibility of a tenured appointment. My advice is to work hard and pursue any and all suitable research opportunities. Secondly, you may want to seek out and informally mentor those with whom you might jointly pursue some mutual research project interests. My family and I are very grateful to the Material Science and Engineering Department for arranging this honorary lecture, and particularly this evening, the evening reception in conjunction with the lecture, allowing some introductory statements by the speaker, the department, colleagues, and my family. So, just to add some brief sentiment, I think, I certainly have a different picture of my father than everyone else in the room. He's my dad, and so, we spent hours in the yard playing catch, and he would wake up early mornings when he didn't want to take me to off-ice hockey games, and just wonderful memories of all the time that he spent, despite the fact that he always seemed to be working. I spent a lot of time in East Engine in the freight elevators and playing in his office, and a lot of time on campus, and he was always working at home, and yet he still made a huge amount of time for us and the family. And his devotion to all of his kids and his wife of 58 years before she passed away in 2012, it's just a testament to that. And so, but one of the few downsides to being a professor's kid, some of you may have this experience, maybe not. Junior taking chemistry in high school, and I go to my dad to ask the answer for a question, but I don't get the answer. I get a 2-hour lecture on enthalpy and free energy and how entropy and enthalpy relate, and I'm like, Dad, I don't even know this, and so that's a little discouraging. But to him it was just a natural thing, and so it certainly didn't discourage my love of science, and that's something we've shared over all these years. So I can't really possibly express how much all this means. It's certainly to my dad and to us, and really the continuing opportunity for him to contribute to and support the department and the university. It means so much, and I just want to convey my heartfelt gratitude.
Thank you, Dave, for the remarks. I would now like to invite Dr. Ron Radzelewski, who was the inaugural Pehlke lecturer last year, and he was one of Professor Pehlke's student and has known him for more than 4 decades.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here, and firstly I'd like to congratulate Professor Pehlke for being elected to this lectureship this year, and look forward to all of his wise sayings about materials processing. This is an area which I've adopted since my days in chemistry at the Ford Scilab, and I think I made the right decision in life, and I really take my hat off to all the students who are in the materials science and engineering department. This is an area I believe from an industrial perspective is the engineering of the 21st and probably 2nd century. So, secondly, I'd like to thank Professor Misra for inviting me back to celebrate the life and work of Professor Pehlke and to make these few comments. I was given only a minute to talk, so I know, as opposed to an hour, but anyways, since I spoke last year, about 1 year ago, I've been involved a lot in materials processing, especially with the national laboratories on a number of proposals and with the universities. The company I work for, AK Steel, headquartered in Middletown, Ohio. Although I'm located here in Dearborn, I was lucky enough to be able to stay in this area, is very interested in the type of work that's being done in materials processing. That's the next step. Whether it's steel or non-ferrous, they have told me to look at every material that's on the periodic table, except for 106 through 112, I think. But, and I'm doing that, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm hoping that students here, once they graduate, will look either at an academic. I mean, I know there's a lot of jobs out in the national labs. I was at Lawrence Livermore, and they were just begging for people. They had, I think, at least 300 openings. So there's a lot of room to grow, and a number of the faculty here have been in industrial positions and have come and graced the academic world and with their knowledge of the real world. And I just want to say congratulations to all of them. And I wish everyone well, and especially Professor Pehlke in his lectureship tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. It's my great pleasure and honor now to introduce 2019 Pehlke lecturer, Professor Joanna Pehlke. And once again, you can read his biography, illustrious career in material science and processing of materials. So, Professor Pehlke.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and friends and colleagues. First, I'm honored by this privilege of being nominated and selected to be the lecturer for the Robert D. Pehlke Lectureship. But this is not about me. This is really about Robert Pehlke. Bob Pehlke's legacy is for, especially for the graduate students who are here in the room. Some of you may not. How many of the grad students actually met or knew Bob Pehlke? Raise your hand if you do. Yeah, so only one person, so it's going to be very appropriate then. But this is not about me. This is about Bob Pehlke and his legacy, which I think the intent of the lectureship is for it to continue. So of course you're going to have lecturers coming in every year, but it's really about the person and what he has done. So, you know, Amit raised that little thing about our bios there, you know, you can read about all these accomplishments. Sure, they're meaningful, they're important, but more important than any of those is the relationships you have with people. Not how many people you know, how many people know you and what they think of you. That's what I mean by relationships. And Bob Pehlke has been, and I think will continue, to be one of those people that people just liked him for who he is, what he stood for, responsible, committed, dedicated. He was a supreme professional. Someone that you would always trust that he would do the right thing under adverse situations. You know, he's that kind of guy. And so it's about that. So keep that in mind. Accomplishments are great, but it's the relationships that you have with people, your colleagues, your peers, not only people above you, people below you. You know, your relationship with the janitor of the building, your relationship with the president of the university, you know, human beings. So that's one of the things I remember about Bob, and Rose will remember about him, and I hope his health will continue to stabilize, but we do not know that. It's uncertain time, and Dave, you make sure you give him our very best and send a big hug from us. You know, it's been said that you make a living by what you get, but you really make a life by what you give. And Bob gave a lot, and to this department, to the community. We're both FEF professors together for many years, and we've got a lot of meetings together. He's about 10, 12 years above me, senior, but our paths followed. And my first appreciation of Bob came when I was a young assistant professor and I had to teach extractive metallurgy. So that book that you see there, Unit Processes of Extractive Metallurgy, is a precious book. It's beautifully done, beautifully written. I still go to it every once in a while. But I used that book for about 8 years, teaching at Drexel University many years ago. But so not for Bob's colleagues, but for the grad students here, we're talking about a person who not only contributed to the research world, but has documented it, not only for his students, but for many others. The Howe lecture he gave in 1980, Campbell lecture in 2001, and there's more we could say about him, but he was an FEF professor, as I said, and he also received the Engineering Alumni Merit Award from the University of Michigan in 2005. Dave mentioned that I had sent a letter to Bob, but I should tell you that he and I have been in communication with each other by email, and I actually requested some photos from him, which he put together in a PowerPoint and sent to me. So here he is in 1935, and about 32 years later, and Dave, you're in this picture here someplace. I could swear he looks like, it's not going to mean anything to the students, but Perry Como. It was like Perry Como there. And so some of the older people in the room remember that. The family photo here in 2000, beautiful. And then he's very proud, and then Bob shared this with me about all the travels he's done over the years, in Egypt in 1983, in Dom Perignon in France, and you mentioned ice hockey, Dave. He certainly was a sportsman as well. And my last one here, the two important ladies in his life, his mom and Julie. So with that, I'd like to close by saying that this is really about the accomplishments, but also the person, Bob Pehlke, and that's the legacy we're celebrating. And I hope I will be able to do my contribution to that by the lecture tomorrow. Thank you.
I'll be commanded not to go away.
Yeah. On behalf of the department, I'm pleased to present the 2019
Where do you want me?
Lectureship Award to Joanne Quillian. So you can stand right here. And
I'm gonna ask the photographer, I mean, not you. Where do you want me?
Right there is great.
Good,
yeah,
good.
hey, sure. I think it's made of metal. It looks like a screw dislocation.
Thank you.
There we go.
Oh, another one.
Yeah, this is
Wow, okay.
That too.
I got some explain to the TSA guy tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you all for attending, and don't forget the lecture tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Dow 10:30. 10:13 Dow at 10:30.